Hey, what is up, all you lonely watchers out there? Pokemon is a series with immense marketability, and has entered every form of merchandise imaginable. Clothes, plushes, figures, etc. Despite this, I'm sure there's one particular Pokemon collectible that comes to mind first: the Pokemon trading card game. These cards have supplemented the Pokemon games and anime ever since the late 90s, and still have a massive collector's market. Yokai Watch had a similar goal of world domination, but they didn't opt for cards as the main collectible. While Yokai Watch did eventually get a trading card game of its own, the things that Japanese kids were begging their parents to buy since the beginning were the yokai medal packs. Since getting a yokai medal in the games or anime served as a symbol of someone's friendship with a yokai, it naturally followed that kids would want medals of their own favorite yokai in real life, which they eventually got. They even made toy versions of the watch itself to go along with them so that you could really summon the yokai. Today we'll take a look at the history of yokai medal releases and all the different types by both Bandai and Hasbro, and how they changed over time, starting with the original series. The first type of yokai medals released were these gray colored ones, sometimes referred to by the fandom as OG medals or silver frame medals. On the front they sported a gray design with an arrow at the top indicating how the medal goes into the watch, and a symbol at the bottom denoting which of the 8 tribes the yokai in question is a member of. To the left of the tribe symbol is the name tag for said yokai, the color of it being dependent on the color associated with their tribe. To the right of the arrow is a number, indicating what numbered medal they are in the series. This is different from Medallion number, which changes every game. The remaining space is taken up by artwork of the yokai surrounded by a stained glass style background accentuating that yokai's personality or pose. The reverse side features a series of rails read by the yokai watch when inserted so it can tell what medal it is. Below that is a QR code used to scan for rewards in various yokai watch games, apps, and websites. These medals were sold in blind boxes of 24 in Japan. And looking at the front, you can tell a bit about its rarity. Normal class medals have a normal sticker, while the slightly rarer holo medals have a holographic sticker. There is also a low chance a holo medal could be a stray medal, a slight edit of the original design, usually adding another yokai as an Easter egg. The final rarity is legendary medals. On top of a holographic sticker, these medals have a transparent gold color, and the medal is not assigned a number like the others. These were typically only released as giveaway medals on the Yokai Watch Medal Land website, redeemable once you have bought and scanned enough normal yokai medals. They also started releasing blue variants of medals called Soultimate medals around this time, which depicted a yokai doing their Soultimate alongside the Soultimate name. They were mainly released in things like Gashapon machines. These show up in almost every series moving forward. The last medal type that appears in nearly every new series are Lucky medals. These take on a transparent orange form of whatever series they're a part of, and they all share the same rail code, often featuring special or celebratory art, as well as playing a congratulatory sound when inserted. Lastly, some medals remained exclusive to toy releases, game releases, or other merchandise. This system of rarity and distribution remained basically the same for the Asian English and Korean lines, with the only difference being the language printed on the name tags. Hasbro took over the Western distribution of these medals, and they made a few changes. For starters, the numbers and name tags were removed. The name tags make sense, as Hasbro medals were made from many different languages and regions, so it would be expensive and time-consuming to make 10 different versions of a medal so they had the right name for whatever language the user spoke. In its place was a random collection of symbols reminiscent of the scrolls in the series. The numbers being removed is something I still don't understand though. My best guess is that since the next series of medals out in Japan at the time, which we'll talk about later, ditched the number system, Hasbro didn't see the worth in continuing it, especially since the series could potentially flop and lead to them abandoning the rest of the silver frame medals anyway. The rarity system was altered slightly, with only S-rank yokai getting holos, and strays being removed entirely. Legendary medals were also changed to be the most rare medal in each series pack. instead of being a giveaway prize, which is a welcome change. The reverse side also moves the QR code to the left while having the rails offset to the right. This was likely to prevent people from importing Bandai's medals and having them be used in Hasbro's watches, cutting them out of the profit. QR codes on Hasbro medals were also initially region locked before said restriction was abandoned with the next set of medals. The offset rails also prevented you from putting the yokai medals in the watch upside down, which would give you unique dialogue in the Bandai version. But alas, going back to Bandai, we have the next series, Zero Shiki medals. Zero Shiki medals followed the original silver frame medals and were released in a similar fashion alongside the Yokai Watch Zero Shiki. This watch was incompatible with silver frame medals, as well as the original Yokai Watch and Yokai Watch Fumi-chan version being incompatible with Zero Shiki medals. But these medals came in two types. The first type commonly being known as Z medals. These are very similar to silver frame medals but had a transparent green metal mold, as well as the number in the top right corner being replaced with the kanji for 0. Legendary medals retained the same gold color from the previous generation. The more interesting medals this time around were classic medals, which featured the kanji for 0 on a bubble to the left side of the sticker, with the rest of it more closely resembling traditional Japanese art, an allusion to how classic yokai are more literal interpretations of Japanese mythology. The tabs on the top and bottom also received a more square look, the yokai name tag is now a scroll, and the medal itself is solid red. Hasbro medals went in a bit of a different direction. For starters, all medals are now a solid, non-transparent color, but more importantly, the 0 kanji is replaced with 3 black circles. This is a gimmick known as Yo-Motion. Putting a Yo-Motion medal into the new Hasbro Model 0 watch would light each hole in succession, which projected many pictures through the searchlight, resembling an animation. However, unlike its Japanese counterpart, the Yokai Watch Model 0 is compatible with silver frame medals to an extent. While the watch can't play the yokai's name, it can play the theme song for their tribe. This was the last series of medals released in North America, as the line was never completely finished. That's when the Yokai Watch Prototype U came to Japan and broke the chain of incompatibility, as this watch and the next would be backwards compatible with all medals up to that point. This watch ushered in many new series of medals, starting with the U medals. U medals are only distinguishable from Z medals by the blue letter U in the corner replacing the 0 kanji. Buster medals were introduced for Yokai Watch Blasters and featured a black, more angular frame. The yokai is often depicted in an action pose, and the top right has a symbol and color denoting the yokai's class: attacker, healer, tank, or ranger. The color extends to the border of the sticker and the inflamed name tag. Finally, there were American medals, denoting a yokai hailed from the United States. The frame is a transparent red with the top and bottom tags now resembling American flags, as well as the metal artwork going for more of an American comic book style. Classic medals also continue to get introduced, with a blue U replacing the 0 kanji to indicate they are only compatible with the Prototype U. Besides the Buster medals scrapping legendaries and adding the Great Hollow class, and U medals adding the legendary VIP class, the rarity system stayed the same as before. These 3 medal types were released only in Europe and South America by Hasbro under the Yo-Motion 2X line for the Yokai Watch Model U, adding a second Yo-Motion animation but otherwise keeping all the same changes introduced with the Z medals. The name tags on Buster medals also used a stylized version of the symbols used in the original Hasbro name tags, which is a really cool detail. The Prototype U received 2 other types of medals in Japan though, starting with Sangokshi medals. These medals were made for Yokai Sangokshi and depict yokai as they appear in that game. They possess a clear blue color and feature a unique border instead of a corner tag denoting their type. Additionally, song medals are cloudy and have grooves in them meant to resemble records. The song name is written on the left side, and each medal plays a unique song sung by the yokai featured in the art. And that's it for the Model U, as the Yokai Watch Dream was on the horizon. The main type of new medal that launched with this watch were the Dream medals, which featured a design similar to poker chips. The medal takes on the color of the tribe of the yokai in question, with a small crown in place of the orientation arrow. The art predominantly features the yokai with elements of their character spilling out from the center alongside rays of white and their tribe color. Below the yokai is a Romaji name tag with furigana above and their tribe symbol below. These medals still have a rail code, but the medal itself is distinguished by the NFC chip under the sticker, allowing it to be used in many different ways. The Korean Dream medals have a slightly different design. A zigzag pattern replaces the blue rays due to South Korea's stricter laws on gambling and its depiction in media. The Romaji names were also changed to Hangul. The quantity in boxes, however, was reduced from 24 down to 20 due to the Dream medal's added functionality with Dreamlink items and the new 3DS games. New U medals continue to be released alongside Dream medals, with a red U in the corner indicating it is only compatible with the Yokai Watch Dream. This generation also introduced the Treasure medals, depicting various yokai in the Cluvian continent and Treasure Island with full art. The name tag was moved to the bottom right with a border of hieroglyphics surrounding the art. These medals have a similar shell and NFC technology like the Dream medals, but they also have a new color-based rarity system. The lowest rarity were bronze medals, followed by silver, gold, legendary, which were a transparent gold, and finally Hiho medals, which could be any other color. The overlapping Kuroi watch of this generation also brought Kuroi or black medals to go with it, which most closely resembled the classic medals with their art style, but with more of a sinister twist. These medals were pure black besides the legendaries, with a more rounded border and a traditional rarity system, as well as ditching NFC to save money on the watch. Bandai would end up doing a total overhaul of the whole system during the next generation. Yokai Watch Shadowside introduced the Keystones, which took on a key shape as the name implies. The front would feature a border containing duplicates of the yokai's tribe symbol with a name tag written in their tribe color toward the bottom. The main artwork would depict the yokai's light side form with a background more indicative of the stained glass style of the first generation medals. The reverse would be similar, except the border would be black, the tribe symbols generally more scary, and the yokai instead being depicted in their shadow side or god side form if they have one. When yokai without secondary form started getting keystones later on, the reverse side would be completely covered in a background image with a silhouette of the yokai taking up the center. Keystones also introduced a new rarity system. Clear keystones with normal stickers were normal, followed by rares, distinguishable by their hollow stickers. Extreme rare keystones would be completely different colors, as well as having the possibility to be a stray. Super extreme rares were the same, but had a light placed in the plastic mold which lit up when scanned in the game or by the watch. The highest rarity is ultimate rare, reserved for only yokai with a god side or other special classes like Goku yokai. Besides the main 3 God-side yokai who have pearl-colored keystones, all other ultimate rares have a completely different mold in comparison to standard keystones, making them the most distinguishable. The keystone blind boxes also unfortunately started the trend of only including 10 per box, making these the most expensive to collect yet, at least at the time. These keystones, however, only lasted a couple years before Bandai went back to making medals in the form of Y medals for Yokai Watch Jam, which had a much more complicated structure. The rarity system mirrored that of keystones with normal medals all the way up to ultimate rare medals. But each medal was also rated on a star system of 1 to 5 stars, with 6-star medals being added later on, also known as EX rares. But not only were there Y medals for yokai, but also for accomplishments such as solving the school mysteries, transformations, moves and attacks, and items. Besides the gray summon medals and the golden mystery medals, most Y medals had a dual-colored frame, with the bottom right indicating what character would use that medal, and the top left indicating what type of medal it is. Black is transformation, yellow is attack, blue is item, clear is special, etc. The sticker has an NFC tag under it, but the back still contains pins used by the Alien Watch to help identify its type, since it doesn't have any NFC capabilities. This series also had an interesting release in South Korea. with all the medals being solid color and the watch being produced by Mimi World for some reason instead of Bandai like with all previous watches. After the Y School Heroes series kinda flopped, Bandai returned to making the old series of medals to coincide with the new Yokai Watch reboot anime, but with a twist. These new medals were based on the old ones, but had new artwork and also released alongside a new watch indicative of the first generation. Instead of blind boxes, these medals were released in definitive sets at first, with the medals having a look dependent on the yokai's type and generation. For example, Jibanyan's first ever medal was a silver frame medal, and so his reboot medal was styled like a silver frame. In contrast, Robanyan F's first medal was a U medal, and thus was stylized accordingly. The only major changes were the fact that tags like the U or 0 kanji that denoted a medal's compatibility were gone, as well as QR codes being removed entirely, leaving a blank space that just doesn't look right. When they moved on to rebooting the Yokai Watch Zerashiki, the coinciding series of medals got an overhaul. For starters, new black medals were introduced that had variable phrases with the new watch. Yokai also weren't locked to the medal type they originated from, and the tribe symbol at the bottom had been replaced with a music note, moving the tribe symbol to the left of the name tag. The first two series of medals released like the last three in curated packs, but all future medals released via good old blind boxes of 24 medals per box. These medals added an S in the top right corner to indicate these are S medals, as well as reintroducing QR codes so that they could be scanned with the new Metalland website. The medals featured in these blind boxes, though, were kind of disappointing, with the designs being from their old medals and their names not even being programmed into the new watch, only playing their tribe theme when inserted. They also took this reboot as an opportunity to completely shake up the rarity system again. Normal medals are at the bottom, followed by rare medals which had hollow stickers and could occasionally have stray variants. The final tier were S rare medals, which could be lucky medals, super shiny variants of normal medals, promotional crystal medals, or even legendaries, which were only given away via scanning the QR codes on the back of your normal medals in order to enter a giveaway, just like back in the day. While it was kinda disappointing for most of these medal designs to be old, we did get some cool looking lucky medals as well as a select few yokai who didn't have medals prior, such as Shin Jibanyan, Shin Komasan, and Komami. Unfortunately, Bandai only made 3 blind box sets for S medals, but they came back in 2023 for one more line of medals, the 10th anniversary medals. These medals were slightly smaller than previous lines, but were 100% accurate to the show, with the back having a tribe symbol instead of a QR code and rails, making them only readable when inserted into the 10th anniversary watch. These released via 2 predetermined packs of 8 exclusively via Bandai's website, and were the last collectible yokai medals to ever release. Collecting yokai medals throughout the years has been a blast, and I will forever miss that era. Pulling a super rare medal or one of your favorite yokai in a blind box is a truly special feeling I have never felt anywhere else. And as Yokai Watch collecting comes to a close, I hope that Holy Horror Mansion can help fill that void. What was your favorite series of yokai medals to collect, or even just watch people collect, and why? Make sure to let me know in the comments, and I will see you all in the next one. Bye bye, my lonely watchers.